can help you?
Okay, so let's say you've built an app and now you want to put it on the web so that other people can visit it. How exactly do you do that? Today, I want to show you what I do to publish applications. I've broken it down into 3 easy steps. So the service I use is called Heroku. So I would post an app to Heroku and then it would be live. And there's some configurations you can do and some add-ons you can do which make it really, really cool sometimes. In a future video, I might go over some of the things that I use from Heroku, but for now, I just want to focus on actually putting an app onto Heroku. Step 1 is configuring your project so that Heroku will know what commands to run to start your application once it is on Heroku. So if that doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. We're gonna go over to the computer and actually do it. So the second step is hosting your code on GitHub. If you're already a developer or have done some coding in the past, you might be familiar with this process. Now the reason we use GitHub is because Heroku can interface with it. Because it's a public repository, it can actually pull code from it and start up your app. And once again, once we get there, this'll make a little bit more sense. And that leads into step number 3, which is creating a Heroku account and then actually creating an app and connecting it with your GitHub repository. So without further ado, let's head back home and get to coding. Okay, so what I've done already is just create a simple React application. It's just a few components here. And let me just start this up to show you guys. So what we've got here is just a very simple app. It has a nav bar up here, and you can click through and view 2 different pages, and the pages are just an H2 tag, and that's about it. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually the React build process, because the browser cannot actually read this React code. There has to be a process which takes this React code and transpiles it into regular JavaScript. Now you might say, but there's a .js file on the end here. But still, this is not regular JavaScript code. It has to be transpiled into actual JavaScript so that the browser can read it. So if you're creating this off of the Create React app, there's already a command which you can see in package.json. Under scripts, there is a build command which you can run, which will run React scripts build. So what this will do is, if we do yarn build, what this will do is it will create a build for us, and inside of that build will be a transpiled version of our website. So we'll wait for this to finish, and there we go, it's done. So we can see inside of this build folder, we have static, which has CSS and JS. This is basically our React code that has been translated. It's all on one line because it is minified, which means that there's no wasted space or anything like that. It's very efficient and it's very condensed. This is a lot harder to read than our React components. This makes more sense to us than this file. And that's why we write React, is so that we can understand it. And we have a process that simply translates it for us. That's the whole build process. And the difference between your development server and a production server is that your production site will run off of this build folder, but your development server will run off of all of your components in this source folder. So that's the basic difference there. If we look back down here, after our build process, it said, build folder is ready to be deployed. You may serve it with a static server. And then it gives us a command, serve s build. So serve is actually a npm package, so we can actually install that by saying yarn add serve. So it's not yarn add server, it's just yarn add serve. Okay, so that's finished. So now we can run the serve-s build command. Serve-s build. Serve-s is basically saying we are serving something, and then you specify your folder, which is build folder, the production build that we just created. And it says serving, and it's available on localhost 5000. So our development server is currently running on localhost 3000. But our production site is on localhost 5000. It's the same thing. There's no difference between these two. Now, this is still local. This is on localhost 5000. What if we want to put this on the web? We can do this through Heroku. Now, Heroku in order to run, needs what is called a proc file, Procfile. And in this proc file, or I think it stands for process file or something, you can specify a process type, so web, and then what command it will run to start your production server. So what that command is this command, serve-s build. So we can type that in here, serve-s build. Now what we also need to do is we need to tell Heroku to run that yarn build process every time it deploys. So what we need to do is we need to go into this package.json file here, and under scripts, add a new item and call it Heroku-post build. And what you want to tell it is to run this build command. And so this Heroku post build is something that Heroku will look for and run before starting. So that would just be npm run build. Now, when Heroku gets this application, it will run this Heroku post build, and it will say npm run build. That will create the build folder. And then what it'll do is it'll run this serve-s build command. That's all the Heroku configuration we need. The next thing we need to do is we need to connect this with a GitHub repository so that Heroku can actually pull our code from that GitHub repository. The first thing we need to do is run git init, and this will initialize an empty repository. The next thing we need to do is add everything to the repository, and then make a simple commit that will just add everything to this repository. So git commit -m initial commit. And now we need to connect this local repository to a GitHub repository. So go to GitHub, and if you haven't already created an account here, go ahead and create one, and then make a new repository. And we are going to call this repository Simple React App. And I don't care about the description. It is going to be public, and I'll skip these, and I'll say create repository. It'll bring you to this page where it says, or create a new repository, but we've actually already done that. So what we need to do is this second one, or push an existing repository from the command line. So we want to run this git remote add origin command. So I'm going to just copy this, go over to my command line here, say paste. Okay, so now we are linked to this GitHub repository, and we can run this command, git push origin master. Okay, and it will probably have you log in, so you can say my username, password. It'll start writing all the objects, and then you will be able to go back to GitHub and actually just refresh the page. And there we go. In our source folder is all of our components, which Heroku needs to basically run a build and start the app. We also have our proc file, which gives us our process type. Again, something that Heroku needs. So the next thing we need to do is connect Heroku to GitHub. So go to Heroku.com. If you haven't created a GitHub account, go ahead and do that. And then come over here, and on your dashboard, click New, and then click Create New App, like that. Joe Boylston Simple React App. And I will choose region, United States, sure. And then I'll just say Create App. Under this Deploy tab, you will see Deployment Method. You can say use the Heroku CLI. This is something that you can look into, and then connect to GitHub. We'll say select, and then if you are not connected to your GitHub through Heroku, you can actually log in, and it will actually connect all your repositories to Heroku. So you might see something different here if you haven't connected your GitHub to Heroku. Search for a repository to connect to. So I want to connect to Simple React App. So I'll say simple, and I'll search, and it'll say Simple React App. Connect. It'll load for a second, and then it'll give you these options now. Usually I want to enable automatic deploys. That way, if I make an update to my application and I push it to GitHub, it will automatically rebuild and redeploy. And that process takes like 5 minutes. So you can release your changes to the world in like 5 minutes, which is pretty awesome to me. Now, if you haven't made a deploy yet, you just want to go ahead and make one. So you can say manual deploy, and then the master branch is what we want. There's no other branches on this repository. We'll say deploy branch. And then below that, you will see that it will actually start to run through this build process. Detected both build and Heroku post-build scripts, running Heroku post-build. So it says npm run build, and it's giving us the same results that it gave us before. https://simplereactapp.herokuapp.com. Okay, so it actually just closed that, but it says your app was successfully deployed. View. So if we click this, we go up here, and here is our React app. Now this is a public URL. This is how you take your React app and then put it on the web through Heroku. The cool thing about this process is that now you can make a change, push it to GitHub, and Heroku will automatically rebuild your site and push your changes, so you can make an update and your changes will be live within like 5 minutes. The application I used in this video is actually available on GitHub, so you can go and clone it down and actually deploy it to your own Heroku account. This application also includes the proc file that we talked about and the changes to the package.json file. I'll include instructions on the repository on how to clone it down and start it up. So we hope all this information was useful for you guys. I hope that you guys go forward and create an application and put it on Heroku. This sort of application is pretty light, so it's good for like a portfolio site or something that doesn't really need a lot of data. If you have any questions about any of the topics in this video, go ahead and just throw a comment down below and I'll get back to you. Hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.